All right, what in the world is going on here? So, let me show you what I have going on. This is the live edge slab with a bunch of weight on top of it. I am actually trying, I showed a little bit in the video earlier that there was a lot of cupping on that board. So, I looked around a little bit, saw a bunch of people posting on YouTube, how they approached flattening the boards and decided to try it. So I put some water on the underside, on the the concave side of the board. So as if it was holding water, like I put it on that side. Just with a actually that blue towel there is what I used. I wetted it down and then I spread water, kind of wiped it all over the underside of that. And actually had this in place last night for about, overnight. So one day, and with the weight on it. And this end over here actually did fairly well with just the weight on it. This other end, which was the more severe side of it, still was cupped quite a bit. So I actually re-wet it, and the towel there is still wet. And so I've got it sitting, first off, showed you, I'll come around this other side maybe. So this towel, it's not sopping wet, but it's still pretty darn damp. So I just left it on the underside of the area where the board needed it the most. And I've just stacked up a bunch of weight. What I have on it, I don't have enough clamps. This is not like the best, like most sophisticated approach to doing this. I need to buy a bunch more clamps, but so I just figured I'd stack a bunch of weight on it. I do have clamps on the far end where things are in worse shape. So if I come down here, sorry, I'm like crammed for space here behind me. So I do have clamps down here, and I've got a board going across it. You can see there's still a fairly significant bow there, although this board that you're looking at here is not a straight flat 2x4 here, but there still is a hump for sure, like right here, coming down. So anyway, so I thought I wanted to put as much pressure as I could, so I do have my clamps on there trying to force that down a little bit. And so the idea is you've got this wet towel underneath. It's going to get into the wood fibers, and you've got plastic underneath it that's going to slow the evaporation of it and force everything pretty much to happen through the wood. The idea is that those wood fibers on the bottom are going to absorb the water and swell and go from this out like that. Okay, that's the idea. So we're going to see what happens. I'm going to let it sit here for a few days. I got, as I said, all this weight piled up on top of it. It's a little hard to tell, but like I could feel right in here, it's way better than it had been. And same on this end over here. So I think it's working. Whether or not it's going to do enough to take out the warping on this side, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But I'm just going to let it go for a few days, and then I will get back at it. I'll just look to see how things are doing and figure out a strategy. At that point, I'm going to more than likely have to get some of the, they call it C-channel, and put that on the underside just to keep things straight once I'm ready. Or else it may have a tendency to try to cut back. But I'm just going to see what happens. And in case you're wondering, it's the metal bucket. This obviously is heavy. My sanding thing is heavy. I got a bucket full. There's a bunch of, from when I was building a deck a while back, a bunch of big galvanized carriage bolts and things like that. That's some weight. This box is full of walnuts. We have a black walnut tree in our front yard, and we had never done walnuts before, but a couple years ago we had like a bumper crop. They just were all over the place, so we decided we would at least try it. So we did. Hopefully the only time in my life I ever do it, because it was a big mess, but frankly But anyways, we still have this box just full of walnuts and another laundry basket full of walnuts. So if you're on our Christmas list, maybe you'll be getting some walnuts for Christmas. We'll see. Anyways, that's what I've got going on for wood. This is not how Norm Abram would have done it for sure. But we'll see. It seems like it's working. I may be able to get you a picture down here. Yeah. So you can see this is quite a bit flatter. I'm not sure if you can remember from earlier in the video or not, but or if you've seen it. But I think it's flattening. We'll just see how well it turns out, as I said, after a few days. Hey folks, welcome back. So this is about 2, maybe more like 3 weeks since the last video I was showing you all the weight stacked up on the wood. So I thought I've actually done a little bit more work on it since I removed the weight, but let me kind of show you the status of it so you can see how well things worked out. All right, so here it is in its present state. I know, in fairness, I have done some work on it, some planing and things, hand planing, but I'll try to give you a shot down here. Look, it's so much flatter than it had been. I'll tell you what I've done here in a minute, but in terms of getting it ready, or up to its where it sits now. But you can see I even took the sander a little bit. It's not finished sanded yet, but I did some sanding to clean up the edges and everything. But you can tell, hopefully, let's see, maybe the other side gives better light to show this, but I'll show you how much better this is. I don't know if you can see, pretty flat down here on this end where it was really bad. It stays pretty good. I've got a little bit over here, kind of a little bit of a valley in here where that knot sits. So I'm working on that still a little bit, trying to sand that out. But if I come down here a little bit further, you can see there's still a little bit of a gap on that side. So I'm not done yet, so I think I'll be able to get it. I can push down this middle section. Is a little bit thin here, so I can still push it a little bit, but to get to flatten out just a little bit. But anyways, it's so much better than it was. So I'm pretty happy with how it's sitting at the moment. Yeah, I have, so all I've done, you know, I don't have a thickness planer or anything like that, and it would have to be pretty big for this anyways if I did have one. So all I've done is combination of, I've got this old Black & Decker belt sander. I've used this. I'll try to include maybe some pictures. I didn't really do a video of this, but this is actually this hand plane. I've got 2 of them. There's one here and one over there that belonged to my dad. And they actually, as it turned out after I've done some research, they likely were his dad's. They were like, this one I'm not 100% sure of the date, but this one back here, this Stanley, I can't remember the number of it at the moment. Anyways, what I found out, it was sold probably somewhere around between 1898 and 1900. So old things, but they're still in working order. I just kind of, I'm not going to fully restore them, but I've got them back to where they're working. And I've used this thing, Stanley, this is a number 220. So I used that thing and a combination of the belt sander, sorry for whipping the video around there, and my palm sander, or the random orbit sander, and have just spent time kind of going back and forth. I used, as I said, the hand plane quite a bit to kind of get some of the high spots out, and then have just used the belt sander to some degree and the orbital sander. So I'm, really at the moment just, I'm not sure ecstatic is the right word, but I'm very happy at least in how it's flattened out, and I think it'll end up being a nice piece when I'm done. I've got, I actually received today, I mentioned, if you watched the earlier video, or the earlier part of this video, I'm not sure how I'm going to put these together yet, but I mentioned ordering C-channel so that I could put it on the underside of this when I'm done. And here's what I got. So I ordered this through Bidwell. I've seen used quite a bit, referenced quite a bit on different videos doing this stuff. Bidwell wood and iron. So I just received these today. I got 3 of them. I'm not sure, because at the moment I'm still playing with how long I want to make this piece, because frankly I'm not even sure what I'm making. I think I'm going to make a small, a table. I don't know whether it'll be a low, like a coffee table, or something more like I guess you might call them a sofa table. The table sit behind a couch. We don't really have a space for that type of a thing in our current house, but I guess I could always change the legs around if I want to do something different with it in the future. But anyways, so these will go on the underside. I've got 3 of them, and so you basically will inset them on the underside of the wood, so it'll go like this, but on the other side. And I've got a actually brand new router I bought for myself over there, so I'll just be using that to inset those down. I've got 3, as I said. I'll try to equally space them out, and then I also got these from Bidwell Wood and Iron, these inserts, threaded inserts, and the bolts with the kind of flat button heads that go on there. So I'll use those to fasten everything up on the other side. So anyways, that's where I'm at right now. I'm trying to figure out, you might be able to see, I've got a line drawn on here. I decided I'm going to cut, first off, I wanted to have parallel, the ends of the board parallel to each other. So, and this one is cut fairly crooked. Plus, with this split here, I know I've seen people do it with the resin pours, but this is a little bit too raggedy, I think, for me to want to deal with. So anyways, I decided I think I want to cut it somewhere in this area. So I've got a line placed there where I'm thinking about cutting it. And on this end, I showed you how flat everything was kind of through here. But right when you get past this line that I've drawn, there's a pretty significant hump again where that knot is. And then if I go all the way to the other side here where I had it clamped down, you can see it actually split right there with the pressure. So I think what I decided to do, I'm going to come in here. I'm going to go ahead and cut it back pretty far where hopefully I haven't turned this over, so I have no idea what the other underside looks like, but I think I'll plan to cut it here, and hopefully I'll avoid that split on the other side, or at least hopefully it won't go far enough through to cause me trouble in the future, especially once I put those pieces of C-channel in there to help hold everything flat and together. So anyhow, that's where we're at the moment. I'm not, as I said earlier, I'm just kind of experimenting with this. I've never done one of these live edge and epoxy resin pour tables before. So a lot of what I'm doing is just I'm kind of doing a little at a time, trial and error. So I probably won't video all of this, but I'll try to tape, kind of key stages along the way just to kind of show you the progress. I might have started to mention earlier when I was talking about the C-channel, but I also ordered the epoxy resin today. So that should be here in a few days. So, all right. Well, I'll keep adding to this video and kind of hodgepodge it together when I get everything done, and hope you stick around to see the final product. All right, so let's show you the next step along the way. What I've done is I've taken my plunge router and I've routed out these slots, and you see I've pre-drilled the holes already, but let me kind of show you how this, sorry for the finger in the picture, how this is going to work. So I've got the C-channel that I got again from Bidwell Wood and Iron. So I used a 1/4 inch straight cutting bit to route the channels, and so these just lay down in the channels kind of flush. I've seen some people actually kind of hog out the middle of this, take another bit of some sort to kind of hog out more of that material, so this actually sits all the way flush. But it's pretty good. It's like a a little over 1/8 of an inch that it sticks up this way. And I think for what it's worth, in my opinion, it's not worth the juice. Is not the juice ain't worth the squeeze. I guess that's how the saying goes. So anyway, so I went ahead and did this, even though I'm not really ready to finish yet, and I've got to wait on the epoxy to get here. But I was kind of impatient and wanted to go ahead and get some stuff going because it may be a few more days before I get the epoxy in, and I'm going to be out of town for a while. So, anyways, decided to go ahead and make the slots, and this one is one that I'll actually have to redo these slots because once I pour the epoxy on the other side this is the underside, obviously. So when I pour from the other side, it's going to end up coming through here. I'll have tape over here to cover this, but it's clearly going to fill up these channels. So I'll have to establish those slots on that one. These other two hopefully won't run into problems. Shouldn't. It doesn't look like there's any other cavities going through there, so I think I'll be okay with these two. But I wanted to go ahead and get these channels. At least I can put the next step along the way is actually put these threaded inserts in each of these holes that I've drilled. So that's what I'm getting ready to do, and I'm going to go ahead, and even though I'm not ready to put finish on it yet, I want to go ahead and install these pieces of C-channel before the board decides to warp back up again. So that's what's going on at the moment. So I think I decided I'm just going to go ahead and wrap up this particular video, and I'll get this posted on YouTube because, as I said, I'm not sure how soon I'll be able to get back to working on this project. So let me just show you at the end here what it looks like now that I've got the C-channel installed and I've cut off the ends and it's ready for the next step, which will be the epoxy, which should be here tomorrow actually, but yeah, it may be another probably, boy, it might be 2 weeks before I'm actually able to get around to that. So anyways, let me show you what it looks like now, and then we'll close out the video. There she is. So got the edges kind of cut square on both ends. I was actually able to did some more sanding on this where it was humped up a little bit right here, and it's pretty flat right now. I'm pretty happy with that. So as I said, we'll just go ahead and end it here, and I hope you join me back next time, and maybe we'll see at least close to the end of the finished product. Thanks for joining.